Let's talk about the Bulls, because they were up 26 in the second quarter against Oklahoma City, and then things went poorly after that. Chris Paul outscoring Chicago by himself in the fourth. The Bulls lost by 3.
Come on.
They fell to 10-19 on the season. Now, Bulls Executive Vice President John Paxson has been doing some interviews with various publications. Here's what he told The Athletic this weekend about his team's slow start. Quote, "There's no quick fix to where we are right now. Change for the sake of change often doesn't do anything. We're not even thinking along those lines." So, Zach, Paxson doesn't appear motivated to make any changes. Everyone's question is what's going to happen to Jim Boylen. He keeps saying that Boylen's job is safe. But what do you think? Do you think the future really holds a full season for Jim Boylen?
I assume if you give a coach a vote of confidence like every 3 weeks that, yes, he's going to get the full season. I mean, I don't know why you would keep saying it.
The old thing is if you give the coach a vote of confidence, like that's the last thing he hears as you kick him out the door.
But this is not your typical, Fizdale vote of confidence. Like, oh, yeah, we like it. This is like real legit votes of confidence. The Bulls, to me, the interesting story about the Bulls is we're now 3 years removed from the Jimmy Butler trade.
Right.
And that is the interesting fork in the road moment for them, because there's an argument to be made that if you keep Butler, now you have to pay him the supermax. They didn't want to do that. You keep Mirotic. He's in Europe. Who knows if he stays. Maybe you get an extra draft pick for, taking someone into your cap space and instead of signing Wade and Rondo. And then you're going to have cap space to try and get other guys. I think right now you have to say that is a better outcome, even going forward, than what they have. Like, these young players have got to develop.
Before this season, I had the Bulls making the playoffs. And they can still make the playoffs, but sometimes you just need a new voice. And I think the way that they're playing, they're not playing motivated basketball. When you lose a game like this and with their talent, sometimes they just need a new voice. And I don't know if he'll be there by the end of the year, but sometimes that can go a long way. I mean, Phil Jackson took over a Laker team that was built for the championship, and once he got there, they won the championship.
There's no Kobe Bryant on the Bulls.
Yeah, that's true of
that.
But it's about hearing a new voice to motivate you.
Right.
Because clearly this team isn't motivated right now.
Let's be not totally pessimistic. Lauri Markkanen is finally starting to show signs of being the player he at least has been before. Wendell Carter Jr. is a stud. He's going to be a very good player. And the Otto Porter injury killed this team. It's the position that they just have no one else at that position. He's sort of the glue guy for them. But you know what? Every team has injuries.
Right.
And Otto Porter is not an all-star. You should be able to suffer an injury like that and not go completely in the toilet.
One thing that caught my attention that Pax said is he said there's no quick fix. And it's something when he did this series of interviews over the weekend, he said in every single interview. And to your point about the Jimmy Butler trade, this isn't quick. No one's saying, gee, how did you...
Season 3.
Right? How come you haven't turned this around in 3 months? We are years into what was supposed to be the direction for this team. So just look at the fans and say, oh, well, you guys have to understand, there's no quick fix. I mean, it hasn't been quick, and it's not fixed.
Well, and the playoff expectations were not just us. Internally, they had expectations to compete for the number 8 seed, so they cannot now pretend, and I don't think they're doing this, but they can't say, well, we knew this was going to be a long process, this was going to be a rebuilding. They didn't. They did not know that. They didn't claim to know that. They thought they would be like a 500 team almost.
I feel like there's a lot of organizations sort of hiding under the cover of rebuilding. You get a couple years to rebuild, but we have seen teams be competitive after those couple years of bottoming out. If you're there for a long, long time at the bottom, it is an organizational problem.
The Nets.
Right, well, absolutely. There you go. There's one, but there's others too, right? And also I want to give Chris Paul some credit, by the way. This is not just the Bulls losing last night.
You had a flashback, didn't you?
Right?
Oh, man. He absolutely destroyed them in classic Chris Paul fashion.
Absolutely. So people who keep talking about him getting old, obviously he's not the exact same player he was 10 years ago, but he can still play if he did not have that salary attached to him that we're talking a couple years down the road. I think the market for him right now would be very different. All right, Carmelo Anthony, talk about a guy who is resurging. Not only scored 23 points in last night's win over the Suns, but his defense played a major role as well. Melo made several big stops in the final minutes, finishing with a season-high 3 blocks, his 5th straight game with at least 2 steals. Paul, are you surprised at all by the 35-year-old Melo turning up the D?
I am very surprised because I know when I was 35, don't ask me to play no D. I'm going to be in this corner spotting up for threes and leave me alone.
Right.
And shot blocker, hey, listen, I'm going to send them this way, so you just be ready to take the charge or block the shot. But I am going to send them this way so you know where my man is going. It was a strategic D I played.
Okay. Strategery.
The sideways swipe that we showed is like Melo is the best ever.
Oh, he is the best at that.
I don't know how he discovered that was a thing he could do, but no one else really does that. He doesn't block shots north-south. He just swipes at them and gets shot blocks.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
To his credit, he's playing better than I thought he was going to. He's helped their team. They need him. He's averaging like 17 a game. He's shooting well from three. Like they need him.
I was up there in Portland with him and sort of around him and Dame Lillard and CJ, and they already have great chemistry. And I think it speaks to the Portland locker room, right, which we knew was so strong, and those guys are such good leaders. And it just seems like everyone's happy up there. And obviously they're not blowing the doors off the world right now because of all the injuries that they've had and some other stuff going on there. But I think that the fact that Melo is succeeding there has to do with Melo and his attitude and frankly taking a year off and having his body be ready for this. And then also with Portland and CJ and Dame and Terry Stotts in the position, all those guys.
I really hope they make the playoffs.
So it would be fun, right?
That would be fun.
Playoff Melo.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports analysis and highlights, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.